All right, what's up, everybody? Hello and welcome to the Corsair Cup. Today, I'm not with Jiggle Naughty Jasmine. Oh, god damn it, Jason. Even when Jason's not here, he's still wrecking the stream. And Zombie Grub's technically not here either, but she would be if she could be. I think GSL vs. the World ended up running a little bit late compared to what would be a time frame appropriate for attending the cast today, so feels sad, man. We are without the grub, but that's okay. Still going to put on the show for you today with the Corsair Cup Season 8 kicking off here on BaseTradeTV. I should also, I should put the display thing here. No, oh, that's low resolution. Oh, that's bad. Oh, let's not use that one. Why do I even have one that this? Oh, I remember why. Okay. Here's the good one. The good one. The one you can read. The one you can see what's going on. You know what? We'll just put it right. Yeah, fuck you, Zombie Grub. Alright. Hey, you guys see this thing over here? This is a brand new fucking TV. Thank you, Arknog, for this. If you guys don't know the story behind this TV real quick, this was bought and used at DreamHack Atlanta to help people spectate the games a little bit better so they could watch what's going on if they're fans as we were casting, as they did not give us a viewing area. And then at the end of it, I was like, so, you want me to mail this back to your house? He's like, nah, you keep it. So what a fucking legend, Arknog. Probably not tuning in right now, but big love to him. Anyways, brackets should be fixed now. As those who may have missed earlier, I announced we had a lot of signups. Probably about 20% more signups than we had check-ins, which is fine. We still got a lot of players, but it was that extra 15 minutes that we needed for them to get in. Thank you. Oh, right off the bat, SortOf versus Healer. Big on my radar. Bly versus Avocado. DNS versus Goblin. There's some good matches here. I think we're going to go SortOf Healer. SortOf versus Healer. I'll cast thee, please. My dude, invite. Woo! Alright, Odyssey gonna be the first map. I'm gonna actually see if they'll let me remake with some game heart. Dude's mind. But SortOf, we obviously know quite a bit about. Healer, some of you may not know as much about. Really good player. Don't know if he can go toe-to-toe with SortOf, but I'm hoping to see some mech out of him. Mech is in fashion. Mech is in style, and Healer's a dude who likes to play mech. Or has, at least in the past. Maybe things changed. Last map pool was a ugh. No comment. Ugh. Ace W, right? Okay, players here. I'm gonna just quickly tweet about this. I've already tweeted on the BaseTradeTV account. Big love to you guys if you hit the retweet button over there. I also got some sub shoutouts to do. We'll do that as we get into the game. Players are ready, so let's get this started while I finagle with things over here. What is this new login window? Why would I ever want to log in with Facebook? We'll get to the job. All right. Bractimus, thank you very much, Lee. Where's the Twitter? SortOf versus Healer. ZvT. Let's hope that's close enough. All right. Scrolling's not on. Nice. Okay, getting into game number 1 for Season 8 of the Corsair Cup. It is my pleasure to introduce a fan of BaseTradeTV, an all-around nice guy, and a super-duper green Terran. It's Healer. He's got that remastered portrait. What a nerd. Look at that guy. He's got glasses, 4 eyes. His opponent in the top left. He's tall, he's buff, and he's got a sexier portrait. It is SortOf. Alright, now 2 big requests before I get too into this today, guys. Number 1, I am solo. I can't check my microphone. Please let me know if there's any issues or hiccups, as a big part of this is I was previously on like PUBG settings, as I've been playing that all week. Streaming it too for those who have been hanging out. But yeah, I tried to put them back to where StarCraft settings were before, and I don't know if I quite got it right. Also, you'll notice up here, don't doubt crate chases. Thank you, Wardy, for the $5 donation over the weekend. Week, I suppose. And then last but not least, like I said, sub shoutouts. So real quick, guys, as the openers look to be pretty bland and nothing crazy like a 3 racks and no fast pools over here. I want to give some love to Bractimus for that 30-month return. Wow, that's a long time, dude. Thank you so very much. Fisheye 1337 also came back for 9 months, to which I must say my gratitudes. Dehumanizer for 18 months said, 18 months of pure happiness. Keep up the bitchin' work that whoa, that's a bad word. The BaseTradeTV does. Love it, love it. Sour please. Sour please. Jono1232 came back for 18 months. And then last but not least, Orbitron 3000 was our first brand new sub of the day. Thank you guys all so much for your continued support in the channel. Sometime this month, I need to find some creative way to push that sub count, though. We are not quite close, but we're almost close to being close to unlocking new emote slots, which I would very much so like to do. Also, we'll have guest visitor Terminator come to the finals later, but anyways, cool, everyone's using skins. I only note this because they do look really odd in the production tab and do not translate to game heart. But that's okay. The new skinned units don't do anything different, they just look super cool. Of course, one of the big things I talked about looking for is whether Healer's going to play mech or not. So this opening is still not quite indicative of that just yet, but if this reactor is going to be for Hellions, there's a pretty high, high chance that that's the direction it'll go. Pardon me there. Whew. Deep breaths. Third CC also very fast for Healer, to the point where if SortOf scouted this, I'm positive he'd hit him with some mega aggression, but oh man, that queen. That is like almost Kerrigan levels Queen of Blades, I guess, going on her back. She's like a mini, less beautiful Kerrigan, but beautiful in her own right, I'm sure. Real queens have curves and claws and scary mandibles. Reaper for Healer, by the way. I don't know if it saw the third. No, it didn't. This would be a pretty nice scout to confirm. He's having some trouble getting to the main and really doing any harass in the natural. For those who haven't been too up to date with StarCraft, if you're not aware, the Reaper nerf is already live, so this thing only deals 5 damage with its grenade now. Still does the knockback, and it's still a pretty cool unit, but it's nowhere near as powerful as before. Hellions coming out in a starport to follow up. Banshee with Cloak has been pretty common and cool, but it actually goes for a Viking. Tech Lab on the barracks. Might be a swamp off here for the starport after he gets that Viking out. Just clear up some of the overlords. Yeah, these lings won't get too much done. Hellions are raring and ready to go. I'm a little bit sad because they've of course got the War Chest Hellion skin that's part of the like quote unquote like elite Terran set. But yo, for real, my dudes, this Hellion looks so much cooler. Like, I want my Mad Max style Hellion over the quote unquote like elite tricycle or whatever it is every single day of the week. But looks like that is gonna be for the swap off. Still holding my breath for mech. I think it's pretty likely that'll be the case. The reason I'm so excited about this is twofold. One is that we know SortOf as a player who actually knows how to deal with mech. We've actually had years now of HOTS and otherwise players maybe not having the best success and not locking it down, but at least experience with it. So I know for a fact he sort of realizes what's going on. Yeah, there's the armor. I think confirms it at this point. If he knows what's going on, he'll find a better way to deal with this. I'm not so worried about him. I just basically have a lot of faith in SortOf. The cool thing about Healers, he is the underdog. He's the newer guy. He's won against players I didn't expect him to beat before, but he's yet to win like a Corsair Cup entirely. There's also a different way to play mech. We see some people like Gumio, they prefer pushing out the 2 Thors with fast drops. Some people want to play more turtle style. Really, it is player preference, but I do think Gumio's aggression seems to be the best flavor of this, so to speak. And with a lot of Hellions and a Banshee, that might just be the case, but on top of the armor, we do have, of course, the second factory coming up, so without a doubt now we can confidently say it's gonna be mech. Vikings get pushed off after getting this Overlord, but 2's not bad, and it's an annoying supply block. Main base will get a full scout, confirming the fact that it's gonna be mech now, so if SortOf was thinking about more lings, he might be thinking otherwise now. And it's kind of driven off. While this goes on, there are quite a few queens bulked up, but not a lot with energy, so if that Banshee does come through, there won't be infinite transfuses. She was poking. Where'd she go? I just not going to poke at all. I guess this does come with Raven, and this push could be cool for 2 different reasons. One being auto turrets. We all know they're good. We've seen them before. The other being he catches his opponent actually at a time of droning. SortOf just laid down 10 more drones here. Now, this is both good and bad, right? On one hand, by having the extra drones made, you can afford to lose a couple extra if you're careless. The downside, though, is, yeah, there's less roaches on the field. Less things to actually deal with the army. But Healer's taking it a little bit slow, and he's not quite charging into the queens. Raven may be considering a point defense drone, I'm unsure. By the way, I talked about the different styles of mech, and Healer's going a completely different direction than I expected. He's going Mass, Cyclone, and Hellion. I really don't like this style. I think this is probably, if not definitely, one of the worst ways to play mech. However, it can be that brutal level of aggression that players are just not ready for. If that's the case, maybe he'll find some success with it. But right now, as stands, I'm not favoring this versus Hydralisks, much less the Roaches that will be guarding them. But this is again where the Raven becomes a really cool utility. Hydralisks can get completely disabled with a good point defense drone, allowing your Hellions to get in there and get the extra shot, that extra lick of damage. No Tech Lab though yet, so there's not going to be Blue Flame, which is actually going to be a problem. The wall off down here is absolutely adorable. They'll catch these lings and deal with these pretty quickly, pretty easily too. Oh my. So much for that run by. But even if it did, he's got like a full wall going. Oh, it's really silly, but it's going to be effective against ling run bys. Not so much against Hydras and Roaches, but yeah, I'm really not liking the fact that Healer doesn't have Blue Flame for this. A lot of extra Hellions is good. A lot of extra Hellions of Blue Flame is better, obviously. The armor, I guess, can help a little bit here from SortOf's upgrades, but really, the Cyclones with their +1 should tear through the Roaches very quickly. Still waiting to see what that Raven goes for. It is going to be a point defense drone, but this was not a fight that sort of has to engage. He could disengage from it, but decides to take the fight head on. Hellbats on the front line. Oh no. By being Hellbats, they're not actually able to reach the Hydralisk army in the back. And the Cyclones, while they chew through the Roaches, will not chew through the Hydralisks. Banshee, of course, Cloak doesn't matter here. The Viking didn't kill the Overseer, and this army falls a little bit flat. Healer's going to really be hurting off the back end of this. The nice thing is, because this is such a reactor-based army, he could potentially get enough units out to defend this follow-up. But, definitely, I think, felt not only better, but took the better engagement, too. I mean, look at the resources lost. You don't even need me to tell you that that went better for one player than the other. Healer's in a lot of trouble here, guys. Even if he gets tanks out with Ravagers being made, those are going to be able to corrosive bile them down. Banshee's still going to be limited in use. Doing run-bys with the Hellions is a really good idea, but it's risky as hell because he just has no units to buffer with at home right now. Now, I'm not saying Hellbats is the wrong choice, but Hellbats guarantee that nothing's going to reach those Hydras, and it's really Hydras doing the most damage here. He falls back, the tank's not ready to go, the wall's down. SortOf takes a north turn to this base. I guess the upside is there's a ton of walling and an awful choke to push through. But unfortunately, without Medivacs, there's no way to position his units or reposition them, more importantly. Taking the fight at the top of the ramp going to cost him is that all the SCVs, 22, do not transfer through. They do not pass go. Hellions wrap around from the side, and the Banshee still dealing a fair bit of damage, but this corrosive bile is blocking out the ramp, make this really difficult for Healer to get in here. If the Hellions were able to properly connect with the Hydralisk, the Roaches would be pretty easy to deal with, but not the case. But thanks to that uber-duber walling, that did keep the base alive. No real time to focus on the command center when you gotta kill what's choking you out of the base. So, SortOf falls back with his army pretty much intact. Couple tanks set up to shoot. Feeling a little bit better for Healer, but he still is going to be a little bit shy here on defending. There's no reason for SortOf to push in here if he doesn't want to overcommit. Healer did just have to transfer all the SCVs over, though, so at least, A, it's better mining, but downside is this is also a big vulnerability now. Just the same way SortOf was stuck between this choke, Healer might be as well. His army's on the wrong side of this, and tanks alone without cover are no good to anybody. Hydras do get taken out pretty quick, though. If enough of the Hydras go down, the Banshee could potentially clean up. Two of them do a lot of damage, of course, but I think Healer's going to hold. This was a mistake of an engagement from SortOf, but the thing for SortOf is he's got the money. He's got the bases. He's got the potential income and the ability to transfer around. Like, this really is a more expensive loss for Healer, even though he's still winning the fight. But it is worth noting, SortOf went from being massively ahead in resources lost, only a little bit now. Also, a blanket thank you to the many generous subs and resubs we're getting through this game. I'll cover those after the game's done. We'll just do a big compiled list of shoutouts. Still no blue flame for these Hellions. Doesn't make them any better versus the Hydras, but I would like to note that the one engagement where he was able to actually kill the Hydras was his best engagement so far. And that's what's so tough about this. Less Roaches on the field, more Hydras, and now Lings coming into the fray. These Hellions get better and better as time goes on. More reason to invest in that blue flame. Still not going to happen just yet. A lot more Cyclones on the way. We also have Vipers coming out of SortOf. A lot of focus here on Healer because it's really been on him for this game. But with combination Banelings and Vipers, this might be that level of unexpectancy that he's not ready to deal with. Because, A, Blinding Clouds and Abducts are going to be just a hell of a thing. On top of this, the Hellions, which are kind of saving his life right now, if they go Hellbat mode, they will get Bane busted into the ground. And unfortunately, again, tanks and Cyclones without proper buffer are just no good. But it's a really big run by. Still, I can't help but criticize the Blue Flame or lack thereof. You know, army composition out of SortOf is a bit funny because he didn't go for any Swarm Host this game, just to note. No Infestors either. I could get behind no Swarm Hosts. Some players really don't like that style of play. But I think the Infestors still have a pretty good role. Either way, none to be said, and it's only Vipers for now. A couple Queens for casting units too, I guess. Baiting back towards the tanks. I mean, this Raven could throw down another point defense drone, and this could become a really good engagement. But that would require SortOf to overcommit. At this point, SortOf could really just soft contain. He doesn't need to push into Healer. Healer has no fourth base. He would eventually starve to death. So SortOf, perhaps feeling a little bit premature, goes in. Takes a lot of losses on that front line for a couple of tanks. Not sure entirely how worth it that was. But 6 more Vipers coming out, and this appears to be the Scarlet route of playing this. She likes to play with a lot of Vipers, and normally there's anti-air for those Vipers, be it Thors or Vikings, but none to be had here. So it's just really, it's going to be coming in for free reign to abduct every single tank, every Blinding Cloud he wants. These Vipers are going to have no opposition. There's not even auto turrets, or excuse me, just missile turrets down. He kind of assists the tank into shooting those Hydras. It's kind of funny to see. Feeling the need to push forward, he absolutely does, because all of his units are being brought to the front line, whether he wants them to be or not. And Healer is finally feeling that sting of income, guys. I mean, he might have the workers and he might have the mules, but he didn't have the bases for so long this game. So now he's effectively on like 1.5 bases mining, opposed to SortOf, who's just taken 2 new bases. Fully saturates them both if he'd like. Gold base mining out too. Ooh. Doesn't even care. He's just like, give me, consume, assimilate, essence. Well, here we go. I'm not sure. Yep, just gonna be cherry picking the units one by one. Now, in fairness, the tanks are obliterating and getting a couple shots as they get abducted, but it's still just destroying this army. SortOf wraps around from the side, takes a pretty big lead. A single missile turret is all that's shooing off the Vipers, but it's not much. Last couple tanks get abducted, and still Hellions will not cover this. I think we're about to see what is soon to be the end of the game. I mean, even if Healer doesn't die here, he's essentially died here. Sort of just kind of letting his units die, because really I don't think he cares at this point. Yeah, SortOf's got bank and production remaxing, not a problem. Wow, the tank with 12 kills and 1 health. What a beast. I hope they abduct this thing across the whole map. There you go. Planetary would be the only thing he could possibly take a fight around at this point. More turrets coming down, but it's not turrets he needs. It's Thors and more of that, Vikings, but I don't think it'll matter at this point. He's just a little too far behind. Kudos to Healer, though, putting him quite a good game and taking some fights that I really didn't think he would. I think a lot of the onus for this game does fall back to the fault of SortOf, but credit to Healer for sticking in there. Hellions run by to the north, and ooh, tasty drone kills. Don't matter so much this late when there's so many, but hey, you gotta do what you gotta do. SortOf just doesn't even. He's just like, go back to mining. We need gas. I don't care if you're under attack. I don't care what the living conditions are like. But yeah, not gonna cut it. Blinding Clouds would work in this case too if you got really scared. Clusters 3 of them up. Corrosive Biles hit those tanks. Roaches come in. Few remain, but not many. We have high-sec auto-tracking coming down for range of the missile turrets, which granted would help them reach out against the air sooner, but I don't know. Still no blue flame. I'm pretty hung up on this. I think it's a very important upgrade when you're fighting Hydras. Hydras and Locusts, but well, it is what it is, and this game finally coming to a conclusion. Blinding Cloud on top of the Planetary Fortress. Corsair Gear. SCV is getting murdered. That's all she wrote. GG! Ladies and gentlemen, SortOf will take the first game in this best of 3. Off to a good start for the Zerg. No zombie grub? Nah, dude, she partied too hard. She went GSL versus the world, yo. A quick pick out of Acolyte for game 2, however. So let's just get this up and running. Meanwhile, I have learned through the process of a Twitter poll and through many savage, vicious, and awful replies, I have been dubbed as in the minority, and it feels bad, man. So I asked the question. The poll came out. Don't worry, the lobby's still going up, guys. We're not delaying. But I asked, when making a hot dog, do you put the condiments in the bun first, or do you only put the condiments in after the bun has the hot dog in it? Now hear me out before my heresy comes through. I don't actually have a preference here. There's no like, I've got a steak and it's like pineapple on pizza, for example. Fuck that. That's something I take a stand on. If you like pineapple on your pizza, you are the worst kind of human being. All right? But for the hot dog thing, I don't really care. It goes either way. But for me, my logic is, well, the hot dogs are cooking, and I want to save some time so I can eat those delicious hot dogs without having to rush. So what I'll do instead is I'll put the condiments on the bun while they're cooking, while we're waiting for literally nothing to go on. Then I'll put the hot dogs on after. But if I'm at like a food stand where the bun and like dog are ready to go in hand, I'm just like, well, thank you kindly, and I'll put them on top. Like, but I didn't realize how mean people could be about this. Until, well, frankly now. Anyways, bottom left side of the map, we got the green Terran. It's Healer. And up 1-0, leading this best of 3 and perhaps up to no good in the upper right, we've got SortOf. Now, I said I'd do that quick round out, and I think we left off at Bractimus, so I'd like to quickly thank I Would Prefer Not To for coming back for 18 months. What a doozy. Dominch for 27 and for modding the stream, frankly. Thank you kindly, dude. Says your mic sounds fine, but we can't hear Zombie Grub. I know. Speak up, Zombie Grub! You're too quiet. Lone Wolf was a brand new subscriber. Lone Wolf, who, by the way, has been hanging out for our PUBG streams, hanging out in Bria's and Nate's stream as well. Thank you, Lone Wolf, for just being an awesome person. Dashmaster for 9 months says this one is a glitch, though. I don't know. And then Cheek saw just now as a prime sub. Thank you guys so much. Thank you for that love. Thank you for that support. It's a good thing to wake up to when you're like casting solo. But alright, so with the hatchery on the way, it's likely going to be for the Ravagers. It's likely going to be for the Roaches. I can't imagine SortOf would for any reason do the Spinecrawler version of this. If this was another map, I could justify it because there's not an in-base safe expansion, but that's the case here. Also, I guess this plays really well into Healer and is very smart out of SortOf, frankly. Like, this isn't like him cheesing because he wants to close out the series. He's afraid of playing another mech game. But you identify that this is a map someone is more likely to go CC first on because it's an in-base expansion. Combined with the fact that Healer went mech means he's likely not going to have defenses or scouting out on the front line. So seeing this, getting away with this, oh man, even with the Roach warning me a little bit later, these Lings and this Queen are going to get out and be able to do a bit of annoyance. But the Marine is looking for Overlords like it did last game, so it does scout that creep, and ooh, Healer immediately needs to put a bunker down. In fact, he might even need 2. Marine is viciously and savagely murdered, however. Was that a 4th CC starting up? Or 3rd CC starting up down here? I'm not sure what he was starting up down here. Cancel goes down. Sorry, I wasn't paying attention. I'm reading the mean comments in chat. Condiments before is a sin. It's called for in the Bible. And then Clam Stamp says, who the fuck doesn't like Hawaiian pizza? Can we get a ban of Clam Stamped in chat, please? We only like to have people with good taste on BaseTradeTV. The kind of people who like Hawaiian pizza are the kind of people who like Protoss. You know what I'm saying? I bet this Queen likes Hawaiian pizza. That's probably why SortOf gave it a bit of a tickle there, you know? That feel an awkward misclick. Bunker here is likely not going to complete, but this does buy Healer some time regardless. If he could get this bunker up, that would be awesome, but I think he's recognized it's better to just cancel it. 4 Marines in a bunker guarantees this won't get super out of hand, and with the tank and such on the way, maybe Healer may just be able to react to this, but SCVs are a little bit late to pull. This is going to be a spicy meme for defense, guys. More Roaches equals more Ravagers, means more Corrosive Biles. We got Creep already making its way to the ramp. I mean, this does not get good for Healer until that tank's out. Once the tank's out, maybe he starts pushing this back. Even then, it's dangerous because Corrosive Biles may kill him. Starport, I don't know what he wants to go for here. Viking wouldn't be too bad of a choice. He needs to get rid of that Overlord. The high ground vision is single-handedly what's killing him here, but Yo is he sort of gets a little bit greedy. The Ravagers get too close. 1 dies and 2 are almost dead. Yeah. As long as Healer's repairing that bunker, he'll have a little bit of lifespan to work with. Tanks also set up to shoot the ramp, but not be in range of units. Corrosive Biling. Very good move there. Natural base comes in out of SortOf. He is notably behind in drones. Because Healer did go for this faster CC, he's actually got a lot of workers and thus a lot of money to work with. Almost doubling the worker count. And on top of this, of course, mules. But with the Viking pushing off the Overlord, that high ground vision finally getting stripped away could end the assault for now. But man, we're almost at the point where Creep Tumor's at the top of the ramp. And vision may be granted through that at some point, but... Alright, tank gonna shoot at the Ravagers. 2 tanks gonna shoot at the Ravagers. Corrosive Bile will break the bunker, and that's great to finally remove that from the equation, but the tanks will not be so easily dealt with. For him to get to the top of the ramp, these Queens will have to soak the hits. He knows this too. Tries to wrap around to the top side, gets on top of the tanks. Dead zone not covered. Other tank unsieged. SDVs are pulled to repair. However, he does thwart the Ravagers. Queens did not get to the left. They went to the right. They were not soaking that damage. Viking lands to help with this too. Panic! Corrosive Biles come down and SortOf has fallen apart here on the front lines. If Healer can play any sort of halfway decent macro game behind this, he is going to be very far ahead. Enough to even possibly win the game, but do note, there's an insane amount of creep he has to clean up on his side of the map. There's this layer, or excuse me, hatchery he does have to eventually get rid of. There's a number of problems presented here. Spore Crawler coming down to try and snipe the Viking. Not quite going to be the case. Another Overlord denied. Again, it's the high ground vision that gives SortOf any power. Now, you have no power here. As he heads across the map back home, he might find some more Overlord kills, which would be cool, but SortOf is still really just struggling to play catch-up right now. Speaking of ketchup, it is the best condiment to put on anything ever. Always. Didn't realize Rifkin hated me. You know it. If you're the type of person that plays Protoss and puts pineapple on pizza, you are on my top 10 worst people list. Oh, this is kind of a cool move. I like this a lot, actually. I thought he was for sure going to go for Overlords here. But predictably, there's not any army units at home because SortOf has had to drone significantly to play catch-up. Now, this is not netting a lot of kills. The Liberator will. Viking distracts the Queens. Liberator now sets up, denies some mining, some very important mining. In fact, this is devastating time loss on that income. Pineapple pizza equals DT drop. Exactly. Exactly. The bigotry needs to stop. No! No! Not until you slap a cease and desist on me will I stop my hatred for the awful thing known as pineapple on pizza. Ugh. Ugh. Alright, so this was a pretty failed attack out of SortOf. It has prompted Healer to play Bio, however, behind this. Healer, being the Grandmaster player that he is, I'm sure has played Bio before. I like to make this big case for him playing mech because I've enjoyed watching him play mech, but I think for the most part, anything, like I said, halfway decent macro, anything will work. Healer's got a lot of money. He needs to spend this money. Realizing this, we got all the reactors finally finishing up. We got those barracks done soon, and some real drops start causing some serious damage to SortOf, who is, again, struggling to find any defense at home. Healer knows this, too. This is what's really interesting. That was a really bad move with the tanks. I don't know what he was trying to accomplish there. But I was going to say, with the Viking landing, with the Liberators attacking, he knows there's no defense at home. 1 or 2 medevacs get in there with Marines that have stim, and everything gets shredded. A base even goes down. So this army here could just simply push. Frankly, there's not a lot in the front lines anyways, and he still knows that. If the army pushes, great. If it doesn't and he drops, even better. But the point is, Healer's in a really good spot to still take this game, all things considered. But if he waits too long, if he dilly-dallies, if he actually gives sort of time for those larva injects, for that tech to catch up, for an Ultralisk to be out, then Healer doesn't have a chance in hell. Oh, his tank's blocking out his command center. Oh, and he doesn't realize it either. There we go. Oh, that's painful. Well, we got the double drops heading off. Might get scouted by the creep tumors, funny enough. I don't know. There's a giant V coming down the middle of the map. Which is a hell of a lot of creep to speak of. Queen just being obnoxious. Tumors going down everywhere. Ugh. The Ravagers were brought home, so this is not defenseless. However, I think if these 2 medevacs unload here, and he just storms in with the 18 Marines... 18, excuse me, 12? No. Yeah, 16. Man, why can't I do math? 16! It's 8 and 8. What the fuck? Rifkin. He'll have no problem getting some damage done. Combi Shields is finished up now, too. Stim just focusing down the Ravagers. The better move, obviously. Sutters around. Trades out pretty decently. Back on the other side of the map, he has fully cleaned up the hatchery and a lot of creep in the process. But this is that transition to Hive. This is kind of what I was getting towards here. If fungal growths and corrosive biles hit, that could really hurt Healer, but it wouldn't kill him. If Ultralisks get out, however, it might, because Healer has almost no upgrades, combined with the fact that he's focused heavily on Marines. He's just now getting a couple of Marauders, but I mean, a couple of Ultras with chitinous plating can seriously soak an insane amount of damage. Refugees can't stand any type of healthy food. Hey! I eat Subway every day. I'll have you know. Thank you very much. I've upgraded my sandwich. I'm not sure if there's anyone here insane enough to remember me describing what my Subway sandwich is before, but it is Italian bread, ham, toasted, no cheese, lettuce, onions, pickles, now with spinach and another layer of lettuce on top. It's about as green as it gets, okay? It's basically a veggie sandwich that I can't stand to go veggie with, so I get like a little bit of ham. That's how I look at it. Alright, that's the closest to healthy I'm going to be. Take it and leave it. But never will I ever eat those disgusting pineapples. Now, don't get me wrong, pineapples on their own are fine. Pineapples on pizza, they've got no place to be there. Although, funny enough, thinking on it, pineapples work well in sweet and sour sauce. Not quite pizza sauce, but anyways, food for thought, food for my tummy. A big attack goes on here in the natural base. One of the medevacs goes down due to a little bit of complacency, and that kind of sucks. We also have 3 medevacs fully loaded over here. Healer really needs to make use of everything while he can. Sort of is being distracted quite well with this attack. A couple Marines left behind to poke. 3 more going toward the 3rd base by the looks of things. This attack will trade out best it can. The tank will unfortunately die. Feels bad, man, but drives off more drones. Does more killing and more damage. These infestors have a couple of fungals, albeit just barely. Corsair Gear is going to land on the medevacs. Very nicely done out of SortOf. This Raven has full energy, by the way, and while point defense drones won't be anything here, I think auto turrets could play a pretty big role. Just get in there and throw 4 of them down and back away. This drop not going so hot. Healer, of course, really lacking those upgrades. He's got a vehicle weapon upgrades behind this, which I think is a little bit weird, but +2 weapons will finish here shortly, so at least have that much to help deal with the chitinous plating. Sort of, though, perhaps predictably, is going for Ultralisks, and I think a couple of Ultras and these Fungals will be a very formidable opponent for Healer to deal with here. Now, Healer has gone for a lot of Marauders. Kudos to him. Producing 2 at a time is not many, but he's been producing them for long enough that he has an adequate amount. The problem is still, whether it's a Marauder, whether it's a Marine, a corrosive bio paired up with a fungal growth guarantees the death of units. And that's where this might be a little bit of a struggle for Healer. But his army's it's not bad. It really isn't coming to the late game like this. I still think it took him a while to get any damage done to SortOf, which is kind of showing now. The main command center is the one floating over. This is not a new 4th base, so Healer's still kind of limited on what he can do here in terms of money, but go with the income graph. It's been not too bad for him. It's in very, very rich game for our Green Terran. Well, again, wait to see what that Raven's gonna do. It's gonna get killed. No auto turrets. Oh, it feels bad, man. He does realize there's bird infestors though, so I do like the scans. It's just a hell of a shame to lose that Raven like that. Pushing up and around. He's got to avoid those fungals. He knows it too, so he's not bringing all of his army in at once, only little bits at a time, and it's a really smart way to play this. Ultra still kept to the back line, sort of has yet to unleash them. An attack does try and cut off reinforcements, but Healer's able to take this fight. Continue to push into the base. Sort of's going to at some point have to use these for more than just soaking some damage. Fungal growths need to land, so the Ultras can actually swipe. Does get a decent fungal, but not enough to follow up with. Ultra's starting to go down as new ones hatch. Full army now finally here for Healer. This was something he was struggling with. Tank set up at the bottom of the ramp, and looks like SortOf's just going to abandon the base. A much smarter choice and a good play at this point. But still, it's a struggle for SortOf, guys. Without the perfect fungals and without those just right hits, he still may not be able to engage this army. This is a really scary situation to be in. Ling's starting to run by. Do catch the reinforcements. One tank not going to be enough, but Healer may not need reinforcements if he plays this well enough. It's a lot of Marauders still here on the front line. 15 for Ultras. I think Marauders should be able to do this unless they just sit there, soak in the damage. Tank's gonna obliterate what they can too. This is going so well for Healer. He's losing a lot and it looks a bit careless. Ling's got by down here, killed not much, just some more of the reinforcements. But he's playing so cautious around those infestors. He's playing so cautious around those possible fungal growths. Thank you for the bits, Diet Soda. Taking a quick stab at the bit boss. Claims title for himself. Careful, guys. He's going to boss tax everybody. Oh, the fungals hit the medevacs hard. A lot of that bio's bled off at this point, but here we go with that stream of green down the middle of the map. I will say one of the really things I enjoy out of Healer so far, though, his use is leapfrogging the tanks the way he has. These actually were kept in the back line for a very, very long time. I'm fairly certain he was afraid of the corrosive biles first and foremost, but regardless, with 9 tanks, 2 Liberators, and 15 Marauders, these Ultralisks are not looking so scary. In fact, Floods of Lings may be more effective at this point, if he had them, but he doesn't. And there's no upgrades, and this is just not going so well for SortOf. And what looks to me like what is soon to be a Game 3. I would hope this goes to the ace match. It'd be very sad to see Healer throw it all away at this point, but the tanks do their job, and the Ultras are gone. Pounce on the top of what's left. SortOf's army is decimated. GG. Healer will take game number 2 and tie things up 1-1. But sit tight, folks. I will quickly get the commercial break out of the way. I'll see you for game 3 when we get back. Thank you kindly for watching those 2 minutes of commercials, guys. We're back and ready to roll with game number 3. Things have been tied up 1-1 at this point. Spawning in the top right. He went for some aggression in game 2 and it did not pay off. So as a result, he got to pick Mech Depot for the final map in the series. It's SortOf. And his opponent on the bottom left, the Green Terran, known as Healer. Showing that he can make bio happen, even if Mech is not maybe his first choice. Again, thank you, Diet Soda, for the Diet Soda. Oh, I hate your name. I love you, man. Thank you for the 100 bits. Tarian was a 9-month resub. Thank you for coming back. And just now, Snowflames0630 graces us with a Twitch Prime sub. To which I must say thank you. Of course, quick reminder, just as the game kicks off, Corsair Cup is sponsored by Corsair weekly, but every single end of month for a season finale, Twitch gives us a ton of money for those season finals. That money comes from things like your subs, guys, so please, if you're willing to hit that Prime button, I know I would certainly appreciate it. And also make sure tournaments like this continue to happen, month by month. Of course, if you don't know, Twitch Prime does not auto-renew either, so if you've been a really awesome person in the past, you have blessed us, hashtag Papa Bless, with that Prime subscription, you will have to manually redo it every single month. Raujin, you disgusting pizza lover, thank you for the 102 bits. He dethrones Diet Soda and becomes the new bit boss. Now, Mech Depot is still one of the new maps in the map pool. I don't know how figured out it is, The irony is, we've seen this several times with no actual mech play. Man, I still love seeing these Thor Easter eggs in the middle of the map, by the way. The construction. But yeah, so I don't know if Healer will still be planning to go for mech on this one or not. There's a lot of pros and cons to this, right? Con saying the pro, excuse me, saying his play style earlier on means the map distance won't be a problem. This is a fairly large map. Not really big or anything, but it's larger than a small map, which is a dumb way to phrase that, Rifkin. I get it. But the point is, if you're playing with Hellions and you're playing with Cyclones, speed is not usually your issue. If you're playing with Thors and tanks, it is, because if you're slowly marching across the map, people can easily get around you. The con, though, is the fact that I don't think that playstyle is very strong, and in fact, we saw that easily dealt with from SortOf's point. And to go further into that, SortOf really, I hesitate to say through the game, because it's not like he played badly. In fact, SortOf played really well considering his options at hand. But his choice to go for the all-in and having it fail on him is ultimately what cost him the game. So, this time around he may be thinking, alright, you know what? It's a longer, slower game to play mech, but I can probably win it a lot better. Or play against mech, pardon me. But I can probably win it a lot better than what we just saw happen. Well, third base isn't going to get denied, but he does get scouting on it. At the very least, so he knows what's going on. Healer was quick to play 3cc before. I'm unsure if he'll be comfortable doing that again. Does have that starport much quicker. So he's going to Hellion drop. Ooh, this is kind of cool. Also, I guess I forgot to note, I didn't check. So I didn't really forget. I just forgot to check so I could note. SortOf is streaming his point of view on Twitch. If you guys want to keep an eye on that, check out his first person. If he wins this game, maybe he goes on to continue playing. You can watch him stream live. But do keep in mind, our stream does have a stream delay due to the fact that it is a tournament broadcast. So expect no justice. Or, excuse me, no sympathy for spoilers. Full justice for anti-spoilers. I'm already messing up, guys. I'm not even one full series into the cast and I can't speak anymore. I've nailed it today. But quite a few Hellions out in the front line. Mike Train, this would be interesting actually. If with the medevac he draws everything to the front line to quickly boost to the main, he may be able to sneak away with some shenanigans, but you know what? I guess this is a Hellbat attack. Was there an armory I missed? There was. Okay. Makes a little more sense now. Marines obviously bring a lot of extra firepower to this. We've talked about this many times before. They're the difference between killing the queens or not killing them sometimes, but a Spinecrawler being up is going to help out immensely. That can easily pick off the Marines. Won't necessarily chunk away at the Hellbats, but it's helping. It's definitely helping. Of course, the Hellbats will keep the queens and the Lings off. Tries to catch the Spinecrawler. Repositioning's not the move you want to do, but despite the fact that Spinecrawler goes down, he should still be okay to take this fight. Liberator comes in a little bit late to the party. Queen's not running back. Of course, that Liberator is going to shoot one of them. Nice snipe. Medevac is low in the back, but it does get killed by this Queen. I was going to say it could stay alive and heal these units, increasing the longevity in which he could stay, but not the case when that happens. How about Marines hunting down this one Queen? This ramp being zoned out slightly by this. Sporecrawler comes down to reposition to try and take on the Liberator, but that's not going to happen with the Hellbats waiting. In fact, does the Spinecrawler go faster than the Sporecrawler in this case? I don't actually know. I guess it looks like it does. Queen down here dies. Not many Marines left. Hellbat's also being taken out, so Liberator falls. Healer gets a really good trade out of this, though. I mean, ultimately, he does get cleaned up. And while he doesn't, like, eradicate a drone line, and he doesn't kill all the Queens, he traded out so well in the resources here. Now, he did go for a third CC, but it wasn't as quick as you would have hoped. So, unfortunately for him, this isn't like a total, oh my god, I'm winning the game super hard now. But Hellions managed to sneak past the ramp, though. Drones are stacking up. This isn't good for SortOf. Forget what I said before, guys. This might be getting into starting to win the game territory. 12 drones die. On top of all the damage he did already, this is an actually awesome run by. The alliteration helps prove it. The Cloak finishes up too, and Banshees will be floating around. There are Spore Crawlers, there are Queens, so I don't think Banshees are going to be the game-defining factor here, but still sort of feeling the burn, literally, from that attack. Overseer comes in to scout. Oh, that income drop-off from those drones dying. Oh, if you're a Terran player, this is so sexy. If you're not, it hurts to look at. Dual perspectives of balance one, I suppose. But he's got pretty good idea what's going on behind this. The really key thing was seeing the double factories. You know, you see a Hellbat attack like that, it doesn't always mean that it's going to be mech. But confirming it at this point, he decides to throw down not just a Roach Warden, but a Hydralisk den as well. So we'll see him play out like he did in Game 1. The thing is, though, the style in which he played in Game 1, it was really effective against the type of thing Healer did. If it's not Cyclones and Hellions, but it's like Tanks and Thors, it may be a different story. By the way, Queens did a pretty good job driving off the Banshee. 3 more drones die. Hyperflight Rotors. Okay, so I can get behind the idea of this. So, but I don't actually like it because he's going for Thors. So the idea behind this too, for those who don't know, Hyperflight Rotors, it makes Banshees so fast, Overseers can't keep up with them, right? So like when they still, like it doesn't matter how fast a Banshee moves, when it arrives at the base, the Spore Crawler is still going to be able to reach and shoot it. And you can't outrun the shot, you can't juke the projectile. So the Hyperflight Rotor on Banshees is a cool idea, I just don't know how he plans to use it. Because the style he's going for behind this is like, it's Thors, it's Hellions, it's usually a slow pushing army, but if this had 2 medevacs with it, this would be an entirely different story. Not going to though, because the Banshees are what are being made still. So I'm really, really curious to see how this plays out. One really big difference though, we do have Blue Flame on the way. This is a huge deal, guys. The amount of extra damage this adds, look at that, versus light units. Oh, even if you're not in Hellbat mode, even if you're just in Hellion mode, 5 extra damage in a really long straight line will melt and demolish Hydralisks. That's not to say you'll go in there without feeling the burn yourself, though. You'll usually lose like a quarter to a half of your Hellions anytime you want to engage, like even if it's just a hit and run. But the burst damage is insane. Viking finding a second Overlord to kill. It's not too shabby. With the emphasis going on the vehicle weapons upgrades, the Thors aren't going to get any extra benefit from their armor, but they still are sturdy enough that they should be able to take Hydra hits. Oh, I love the idea of the Banshees. I really want to see how I just can't visualize how he'll effectively use them, I suppose. But, like, if these Thors are in transformation mode, they snipe the Overseers out of the sky. Sure, you're not going to be running by to the mineral lines, but 3 Banshees on the front lines can melt Hydras if there's no detection. Which is a pretty discernible if. Well, Thors get caught in the back line, but it might not be so bad. As we just witnessed, they can certainly dish out their share of the damage. Overseer's not here, actually, so the Speed Banshees could give chase to the Hydras, but now the Overseer's going to be here. This report defense drone from that Raven becomes really essential. Not available yet, 20 energy to go. But Hellbats, Thors are just as big, if not bigger of a threat than the Banshees. So this is a really tough situation to maneuver here for SortOf. Crossbow's landing, and the Thors try to split. They do dodge most of the hits. Not so many Hydralisks, but a lot more emphasis here going to Roaches and Ravagers. I think one of the problems we're going to see is, like, at one point, anti-air may be the issue. The Banshees, even without the cloak, won't matter if there's just nothing to shoot back at them. Tanks firing away, too. They'll trade out best they can. Sort of still in a very funky spot. Mass Ravager is not faring too poorly against this, I gotta say. The Banshees are starting to go down too, only 1 remains. The point defense drone helps out a little bit, but this was not enough to push with. Healer may be overextending now. A couple of SCVs pulled to the front line, some repairs maybe on those Thors, and I could certainly see him pushing in, but he's already lost a lot. On down to the south, a little bit of a run-by setup. It's like a shotgun blast to the face with these Corsair Gears. Like, Healer just... he can go in and poke, but he's just not dealing as much damage as those Corsair Gears are back to him. He's getting stuck behind one another. It's been a long road around for this run-by, but this will catch some of the reinforcements like this tank. If those get to the SCV line, they're going to be really annoying to deal with. Depots are down, you can lift them. You can certainly deal with this with the reinforcements too, but And he's too busy focusing over here as he pushes up through that front line. We do have a back attack set up out of SortOf. A pincer move might just be in order. Blue Flame Hellions are good against light units, not so good against roaches. Let's see if he's going to die in the long time it takes to clean this up. But Healer looks like he's willing to accept those losses as he continues to push through. Front line doesn't have a lot defending, but again, that back attack might catch the tanks. Blind Cloud's going down, but the Thors transform into single target mode. They do snipe off the few Vipers that there were. The back attack is good, though. Healer gets caught off guard by this. He's trading out the best he can with what he has. What he has isn't a lot. So a lot of damage gets done here to both players, and Healer takes the worst end of that trade. Of course, for him, he's got bases this game, though. One of the big differences between Game 1 and Game 3, not only the style of mech in which he's playing, but more importantly, the fact that he has bases. A fourth, now making a fifth as it floats on over. Healer ran out of money, which was a big stopping point, and why SortOf was able to walk all over him. Not this time, though. Just reading the, casually reading the Kespa Cup comments. Not Kespa Cups. GSL vs. the World / Kespa Cups, I guess you could say. I don't know how you want to phrase that differently, but I didn't see any GSL vs. the World, which feels bad, man. The times were just too bad for me. And I was, if we're going to be honest, just up late playing PUBG. Dead passion. But I saw the results, and they're pretty interesting. Don't know that I agree with what some of the people in chat are saying, but yeah, we all have our different opinions. Sunday morning base trade hype. Yep, what's up, Hello Zergling? Hope you're having a good day, man. Helling's starting by up here to the north side. Blue Flame tries to deal with the drones. Gets about as many as he can, but 9 not exactly worth it. It's also very much worth noting SortOf has gone back into making more drones too. I think we've actually seen our fair share of mech games where you start bleeding them out in the late game and you care less about them. You're like, oh, I've got a bank, I've got bases, I don't need more drones. And you'll see those 9 drones here, 9 drones there. Suddenly the Zerg player's got like less than 20 and you're like, oh, where did all the money go? So it's good to see SortOf still replacing them as he goes. Vipers coming out in pretty heavy numbers. They're going to be very important. Vikings are not going to be any good here, though. Oh, no. Oh, and he stacks them, too. Big hit from that corrosive bile. Devastating. Absolutely devastating. The reason he has so many Vikings is he wants to be able to one-shot down the Vipers. I think this is a really smart move. However, not if you don't have the ground support for it. And that was bad, frankly. I can't paint that picture any better than it was, and that was a bad fight for Healer. One of the things that makes these fights for him kind of bad is the fact that there's no reason to take a fight right here. He knows where the army is, and he knows it's not pushing into his 5th, so there's no reason to force the engagement. Sensor tower should be alerting him to the roaches down to the south. 2 more starports were recently added on. We'll soon find out what those are going to be used for. Tanks run back and catch this. They do snipe off the sensor tower. The sensor tower is a very expensive building, so that kind of sucks to lose. The roaches, funny enough, though, they slip into the base, but there's not really anything here for them to catch, as the SCVs have all been transferred or are dead. New base up here does get attacked. Blinding Cloud will come down top of the planetary and stop it from firing. Mass repair goes in, but it's not going to be enough. No building armor. Feels bad, man. Looks like a parasitic bomb tried to scare the Vikings away from this fight, too. Hydras might just find them exposed. Oh, run, guys. I mean, Vikings are not a great unit in most situations, and this might be the one time their little niche works out well where they can get in here and hit and run those Vipers, but as we see, parasitic bombs are helping to drive them back. A lot of these Vikings are low. Good micro out of Healer, by the way. If he didn't segment these out the way he does, he'd lose so many more Vikings. Like 5 would have died there. Well, he's starting to leapfrog forward with the tanks. It's a really dangerous move, but I guess SortOf feeling a little bit scared without the Vipers, not willing to commit to an attack. And that's fine, because it's the same reason Healer had no reason to take a fight at this ramp. There's no reason for SortOf to take a fight out here. Not until SortOf's a lot, I guess, more endangered with his bases. But we got another run-by set up to the south. This one's not just a couple of roaches. This one has Hydras built in. Healer has left the odd tank at home as well in siege mode, but sensor tower alerts him that something's up. Starts pulling back with some of his units. Pick off a couple, and that tank will do a good amount of damage. This shouldn't be a problem. He's assessed that it's going to be okay too. So many Vipers though. 11 Vipers. Too many Vipers. Not enough Hydralisks. Not enough anti-air to guard said Vipers. This base is going to get killed. No doubt about it. Evolution Chamber's not so important. They are just kind of feeding tubes for the Vipers at this point. But each of those that get sniped off, very expensive to replace. Run-bys here. Don't find another base. It wasn't replaced. These Hydras were not fully cleaned up either. Healer perhaps a little bit desperate with the way he's pushing. There are a lot of Hydras waiting for him, and he might not realize it either. It's like, I'm actually quite scared for him. And he's starting to bleed out quite a bit at home, too. He's not supply blocked, but he's under the supply cap now, which could be a problem if this game were to let him remax, but... you can drop deep as a Terran. Who am I kidding? Sort of. Yeah, as you say, he's got control of this game once he gets rid of the Vikings. Now those Vipers can come in. They can throw down blinding clouds. They can abduct all the tanks. Healer doesn't have the money that he used to, and he doesn't have the production to keep up with this. So I think we're going to see him slowly die here. Yeah, blinding cloud's a better choice. Every time he abducts in, the tanks are still getting a shot off like mid-air. It's just kind of like, Doesn't have energy though. It's like one blinding cloud in this. 2 or 3 abducts maybe? Yeah. Free kill is a free kill. Hellion's looking to run by and cause some counter damage to sort of. Of course, that blue flame hasn't really been utilized much this game, but... It's down here. Not bad. It's funny to see the spine crawler set up out of sort of too. Because for those who don't know, if like 6 Hellions roll in, they can get on top of the excuse me. If you get on top of the spine crawler and transform into a Hellbat, you'll kill both the spine crawlers and anything else at the base really easily. Watching how fragile a Hellion is versus how durable a Hellbat is always kind of funny to me, but... Anyways, this is the main base lifted over, so not a great situation. Realizing this was scouted, he pulls back immediately. And good thing he did, because sort of looks like he wants to attack. More blue flame run-bys are nice. Gets away from the range of that spine crawler. Tries to? Was? What are you doing here, bud? What are you doing there, bud? Alright, well, while he racks up the drone kills, this really starts eating into sort of's economy, but not to pull a Todd, look at the supply, right? Like, this is still something that is so massively favoring sort of, despite these losses. Run-bys out of healer have been good, but not game-winningly good. I guess we'll have a small break in the action. Thank you to Zaros12 for that 6 months of Twitch Prime. 6 months of base trading. Printer Hands came back for 31 months, which I must say thank you for sticking around for 31 months. Mr. Turtle42 for 18 months of Saving Private Sub. Had to renew it for some reason. I don't know what the reason was, but you should share it so other people have to as well. Thank you very much, dude. H. Steimer! One of our Twitch staff supporters. Thank you very much for the 16 months. This is still my favorite place to watch StarCraft 2. Keep it up. Big abducts going down to the Vikings. Ouch. Sort of is going to slowly push into this, but again, with abducts and blinding clouds, he's sure to take any fight he wants here. Daicioni for 31 months. He's fancy. And last but not least, thank you so much to Snipe Hunt for the 40 months. Woohoo! And of course, everybody who subbed today. Big love. Yeah, this has been a slow death for poor healer, but he is so far behind at this point. There really is no recovery. Even with these tanks getting shots off as they get abducted, it's still not enough. I mean, he finally got some income going for him, and he's way oversaturated the base, but really irrelevant when you just can't even outproduce the rate at which your units are dying. Oh, that orbital died so quick. I think we're about to find our conclusion here. I would like to note, by the way, the winner of this goes on to play Keen. This has been such a quick run through the brackets on the other sides of this. A laser is already in the semifinals. The bottom half is sure to have a semifinals as well. So, GG's get called. Sort of will take the series and move on to fight against Keen. So another ZvT, but a very different type of ZvT coming up next. Not only is it going to be versus a Korean player who's disadvantaged by playing on the European server, he's the guy who plays Bio, not Mech. So we're going to take a commercial break while I get this series sorted up. Keen here. But yeah, we'll see you guys in a few minutes. Thank you for watching. If you haven't already, hit that follow button. It's free. It costs you nothing. We're almost at 90,000 followers, so help us get there. Please, please, pretty please. See you guys soon.